Alright, so it is the weekend for me. It's my day off, and it's also a long weekend in New Zealand, and so I'm taking this opportunity, given everything that's going on right now, to do a bit of hobby work. Now, I've been working on this particular miniature for a little while now, so as a result, it means that I've found myself in a situation where I got caught up with other things and I haven't finished it. So you'll find that the start time for this video is going to be down in the description. And if you are expecting the same sort of presentation, no, this is more like as I'm doing, working on my miniature, I'm going to be talking with you. So you feel free to chat along with me if you want to about whatever you like. I'm probably going to talk non-stop or almost non-stop the whole time anyway, so you're welcome to chat along with me. So I'll do my intro and we'll go from there. Okay, here we go. Hi, welcome to HowtoDandD. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I'm going to spend my time cleaning up and finishing the Xanathar Beholder miniature that Gale Force 9 sent me quite a long time ago. I actually started putting this together. I cleaned it up, put it together. Didn't get very far with it, unfortunately. Other things sort of took up my time, and therefore it's been sitting waiting to be finished. And really it needs a little bit of a brush down and some green stuff, and then she should be all good to go. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today, is I'm going to work on it, do my very best to make a reasonable job so it's ready for painting, because I would like to eventually get this thing done, like get it painted, and it hasn't gotten painted yet. So that's the job for today. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just grab myself a paper towel, and there's still a whole lot of baking soda left on this thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush that down with a really soft toothbrush, and then that'll get hopefully all of the powder off it. And then once all the powder's off, then I can then go through the process of applying green stuff in the areas where it's still got gaps and so forth. I know this is a little bit odd. Normally I don't do 2 live streams in one day, but today is a different day to all the other days that I've had. How's it going, Brandon? Yes, Fred and chat. I did try to make sure I had some talking points. And actually, probably a good talking point is to talk about what I've been working on. I've been working on, as a lot of people already know, I've been working on the new Dungeons & Dragons starter set, which is the Hunt for the Thessal Hydra. And I was working on the Proud Princess, as it happens, trying to figure out the Proud Princess and how that all fits together, and that was really tricky. It took me all week to nut it out and a bit of research, and I think I finally figured out how to set it up. So you can expect a video at some point. I just got to finish writing the script. I would have written it yesterday, but things didn't work out quite the way I expected yesterday. Yesterday was kind of a bit traumatic, and so it's going to be like a story. I thought what I would do is, instead of presenting the material like I normally do with my Dungeons & Dragons guides, that I would present the Proud Princess as an actual story that I will basically tell you. So it'll be more like an opportunity for you to sit down and be read to, I guess, because that's essentially the structure that I'm looking for with that particular video. What's that, Brandon? One quick question. As a long-time D&D player, DM, what is your favourite type of dragon? The dragon that gets away. That's my favourite type of dragon, if I'm a dungeon master. If I'm a player, dead dragon is always good. I know what you were asking me. You're trying to ask me what's my favourite dragon as in dragon type. You know, which coloured dragon am I most fond of? I think the dragon that I'm probably most fond of is the gold dragon out of all of them. And that's not because, you know, you can fight it or steal its treasure and things like that. I just like the idea of a dragon that doesn't have an evil nature to it so much, but is more there as I would say in some respects sort of a protector of the world. I like that idea a lot. My toothbrush is having a bit of a trouble getting into some of the spots, but we're getting there. So that would be my favourite dragon of choice. if I had to go with a dragon that was going to be a villain and something that's really dangerous for the players to deal with, then my favourite dragon would have to be the red dragon, ancient red dragon, let's not muck around here, or the Dracolich. I think those are my two favourites for causing the players strife. But as a player, I like my dragons dead. Because very rarely do you get an opportunity to actually talk with a dragon before it's starting to decide whether it's going to lay you on a piece of bread or just swallow you whole. So that's just me. So I've been working on, as I said, Hunt for the Thessal Hydra and the Proud Princess, and I don't know when that'll be available and ready to watch, but hopefully soon. And then I'm also looking at, well, I have been looking at it for a long time, but I just didn't know what I would do with it. And I needed to be careful. You know, one of the things I've struggled with is finding time to do all the stuff that I want to do. And sometimes I commit myself to something and then realize there's actually a lot more hard work to do a series of videos on a topic and keep it going, particularly if you've got a full-time job, and particularly if it's a stressful job. So what I'm looking at is, for those of you who might be aware of the Lazy Dungeon Master. Now, the Lazy Dungeon Master, I'm definitely a Lazy Dungeon Master. Okay, I've been operating like a Lazy Dungeon Master quite a long time now, and I am a fan of Mike Shell, which is Sly Flourish. I don't know if anybody knows Sly Flourish or knows of him, but he is a very, very smart, clever, and I feel at the top of his game in terms of understanding what a normal person is capable of pulling off. Because I find a lot of the advice on the internet is really from professional dungeon masters. And they have to spend long periods of time preparing and following the set pattern of doing things, because somebody is paying them, right? They're getting paid to do this. And if you get paid to do something, you have to do a pretty good job of it, otherwise people aren't really going to keep coming back. And so that makes an awful lot of sense, the strategies that they give. But for a normal person who isn't live streaming to the world and doesn't have to worry about how many views they get on YouTube, and they just need to have a good time themselves and entertain their friends or their players or family or whatever, it's a different sort of kettle of fish. Right, I think that has mostly got all of the powder off, and now it's just a matter of looking through and seeing what needs to be tidied up. Okay, so let's ditch this. That's what the paper was all for. So yes, I'm thinking of doing a series on being a lazy dungeon master. Some of the advice would certainly be taken from Mike Scholl's book, which is an ebook. I've got the book myself. And he's released another one just not so long ago called Return of the Lazy Dungeon Master. I think those are really good resources for anybody, myself. I know it's not for everybody. I know some people have a particular way of doing things and they don't like the idea of operating that way, but I still think it's a smart way to go. Okay, now I need a tool to file, because I can see that there's some of the super glue has set and created sections which I need to actually remove. So we're going to grab some files. So I've got some needle files here and something suitable with a round edge. I prefer one with two sides that are rounded. It just makes less of a mess, and ultimately. Okay, so I need to, actually I need another piece of paper. Made sure I brought a few paper towels this time. And normally when you're dealing with something like resin, you should have a mask. This is glue, but I don't have a mask on. If I have a mask on, I can't talk, right? So that's going to be a bit of a problem. But normally you should be using a mask, because the dust from it's very fine and it's not very good for you. So I'm just going to clean up around here. Here we go. Now, if you are watching and you're doing your own painting or modeling or crafting, I totally understand. Keep doing what you're doing. If you feel like you have time to chime in and have a chat with me, ask some questions. Look, like always, man, I will answer questions. Doesn't matter whether you're a player or a dungeon master. If you have questions and I can answer it, then good. If I can't, then maybe it'll wind up being a video, or maybe I'll do some research and find you the answer if I can. Okay, this is going to just take me a little while just to file in there, I think. I don't know if anybody's noticed recently, but Mum keeps sending me, well, my mum keeps sending me a lot of Dungeons and Dragons news, and apparently all over the internet, Dungeons and Dragons books are going on sale. So if you're looking to pick up stuff a bit cheaper than normal, I can guarantee you that the Book Depository and Amazon and probably a few other locations, even one of my local store, buying stuff in New Zealand is expensive. One of the local stores is selling one of the new Ghosts of Salt Marsh limited edition at a price that I can get it from the Book Depository. Now, I can tell you now, I don't know how he's pulling that off. It's probably because he's bought like a truckload of material, you know, a truckload of books all at once to get the price down. But I think that's just amazing. It really is. It sort of shows, you know, when the price on a product drops like that, and it's like right across the board, and it's not just one distribution center, you know that there's a big things happening or going on. And I think with all of the releases that they have scheduled for this year and next year, but particularly this year, there's a lot this year. There's heaps, more than anybody should be able to keep up with. But yeah, it does mean that you're in an odd situation in that you might actually be able to pick up a whole lot of stuff that you want relatively cheaply. Okay, so this, see if we can just file that there. Just like so. Oh, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I've lost. I need another tool. I need a curve. I need a circular curve rather than just a flattish curve. Hang on. Circular curve. There it is. I gotcha. Let's pull that one out. I bought myself some liquid green stuff in the hope that I could solve a lot of my issues with this miniature with regard to some of the gaps. And unfortunately, I've discovered apparently that the liquid green stuff isn't very good for filling gaps, as it seems. So this is the stuff from Citadel. Take it out of this box thing. So the plan had been to use this stuff for filling in my gaps. But as the reviews and the videos I've seen so far indicate that this product is probably better for texturing rather than filling in gaps, I'm unlikely to use it unless the gap is very, very small, which I find rather annoying considering that Games Workshop products are quite expensive. That's not really very helpful if you ask me. I still have to, again, I need to thank Gale Force 9 for sending me these. This is not a paid sponsorship or anything. They just sent me these for free with a miniature with a bunch of other things, so I still need to thank them for doing that. That was great. And there we go. I think that's a gap that's going to need to be filled with normal green stuff. I'm going to try normal green stuff, see if I can fill it. Otherwise I'll try the liquid stuff. And I've been told you have to apply it in 2 attempts. You can't just do it the first time round and she's done. It doesn't really surprise me, but from what I've seen, the shrinkage on it is so vast that you might have to apply it more than just twice. You might find yourself at it for quite a long time before it actually works, which is not really what I'm after. I just want to get the job done, right? Okay. The filing. This is obviously riveting video content on YouTube for those of you who hadn't figured it out. I totally understand if you need to go and do something else with your time. I don't know if anybody has realized, but I was going to do a video on a new adventure book, and I might still do so, but it is crazy, you know, the amount of coverage that this Descent into Avernus, the next Dungeons and Dragons adventure, it's had so much coverage. I'm trying to think if there was more coverage for Xanathar's Guide to Everything with the Stream of Many Eyes. And I feel like there's even more coverage this time around than there was last time. Possibly because they've decided it's a good marketing mechanism, and it worked so well last time that they should do it again. Wouldn't surprise me. Okay, so that's quite a big blob of blue, so I'm going to have to file that away. No, go away, you. I like the idea of using the baking soda and the super glue, but if you do it, you really got to be careful about the application of glue, and it still leaves like a whole bunch of mess to clean up after, which is not super helpful, I have to say. Now, let's get in here a little bit closer. Just move that back and forth, back and forth. I've put a poll on my channel in the community tab asking, and if you haven't done so already, please vote on it. Let me know what's going on. A little while ago in one of my other streams, about 3 or 4 people had asked if I would do a vlog on my life and the background stuff with my channel. And I was really reluctant to do that sort of thing because I've never really liked watching vlog videos myself, and I didn't really see that there would be any benefit. But since some people think there is a benefit, if I can do it and it doesn't take up too much time, in other words, it'll probably be all shot in one shooting, and there'll be minimal editing going on because I just don't have the time to do that sort of thing. If enough people want it, then I'll do it. So far, the indication is that yes, people do want to see what happens behind my YouTube channel's front face, and they do want to know a little bit more about my life and what I get up to and the country I live in. So chances are that it will happen. I would imagine fairly shortly as it happens. I know more than you do, so in other words, there's probably going to be a video dropped. There's no point disguising it, right? So in other words, I have done a vlog. I just shot it, and I will release it. And yeah. Anyway, that's enough of that one. Let's see if we can just tidy that little bit up there. Okay. Alright, so around the mouth is going to need some green stuff. Some of the stalks look reasonably alright. Texturing actually would be probably useful around the eye stalks and the body of this thing, considering that there is already texture on the creature. It should actually sort of blend in reasonably well. I'm not going to worry about filing that. I don't see that there's any point. This is a premium miniature, so I know I need to take my time and get a decent job done. Okay, alright, that's that. Okay, that should be enough filing and tidying up. I can always come back and sort things out if I need to, right? Right, so files away. 1, 2, there we go, that's that one. And now where's the toothbrush? And we'll just make sure I clean off all the dust that I produced now. As I said, you should be using a mask, and I know I'm not using a mask because I'm talking and I'm on YouTube, but you should be using a mask. Oh, and what else? There's apparently there is an Eberron hard-covered book being released, which it's not related to, well, it is related to the Descent into Avernus, but it's an Eberron hard-covered book. If you guys remember, there was that release, that PDF that was released, the digital book for the Wayfinder's Guide to Eberron. Well, apparently this year they're going to drop the actual hardcover book for Eberron. So if you are hanging out for that particular book, it looks like it's coming, which is kind of cute. They're obviously trying to appeal. There's been a lot of content made for this year. It's like a huge amount. I've had a lot of people emailing me saying, can you do reviews for stuff? So it'll be interesting if they send me anything. If they send me some stuff, then I'll do those reviews. All sorts of things. Things that hopefully you will find interesting and that I will find useful and interesting too. Oh, how's it going? Cool Keg Computer. Fred, I haven't seen any news vids on Wheeler Workshop channel. What's up with that? It's because I just haven't had time. There are actually videos, old videos sitting there waiting to be released. I just haven't had time to do that. I know I need to. So yes, I do apologize for that. I think the transition from my old job to my new job, I had hoped that I would be able to put more videos on there when I started this new job, because I would be you know, in an environment where there was a decent workshop and I could sort of show you stuff, and I haven't done that. So I do apologise if you've been subscribed and nothing's come through. I have been working outside a lot, but I don't really shoot video on those sorts of things because I'm usually in a rush and I'm dealing with the weather, and it takes about 10 times longer to do anything if you start shooting video. Alright, okay, so that, I think, has covered that. Right, so let's get rid of this. This is the problem, see? I do try to do too many different things all at once. And then I wind up overcommitting myself to things that I can't actually complete. And there's just not enough time in the day. Hi Joe, how's it going? Just doing some painting yourself. Oh, right, cool. Well, look, totally understand. You keep doing your painting. I am going to get out now. I've got myself some green stuff. Ignore the price. It's a New Zealand price. It's not the price for your country. It's expensive here, this green stuff. Well, just about everything is. But I'm going to use this rather than the Milliput because it should give me a smoother finish. So I don't have to do a lot of sanding back, which I don't want to do. So we grab that. I don't need a lot. The stuff goes off fast, so I've got to be careful about how much I cut and mix. It's been a lot. I mean, I've used the stuff before, but I do remember it setting quite quickly once you activate it. There we go. Come on. Yes, there we go. It's free. It is so free. There we go. So now let's see if we can get the plastic bits off. I've gone and chucked the knife away way too soon because I can't see the plastic. Oh, there it is. There's a bit of plastic. Let's just strip that off there. Put that over there. What's that called, Keg? Computer. It's all good. They were good. I'll keep being subscribed to it. Yeah. I think that channel is only going to take off when I manage to settle down my job. And as you know, I don't think you guys want to have anything to do with retail selling, so I don't put retail selling on that channel. It was not really something I wanted to do, and it's not really possible anyway. I don't know, who would be interested? I don't know. It's not really what I intended that video channel to be. It really was set up so that I could use whatever spare time I had, if I ever did get spare time, to chuck something up on the YouTube channel that was useful to somebody that was related to construction. Okay, so I'm mixing this stuff now. It's going to get sticky and tacky, and I did bring some water. Let's just get the water over there. Make sure, because I'm going to have to smooth things. And I've got my tools, the Citadel sculpting tools. Pull them out, since I'm going to be using that to squeeze the stuff into little gaps. I see that the new Essentials kit, which has an adventure called Dragon of Icespire Peak, is going to have a single player game. So something you can play with a dungeon master and one player. And apparently there was discussion, I don't know exactly the details, but discussion about a Dungeons and Dragons adventure that required only one person, which I feel like steers people away from the whole point of playing in a group. But I can see the rationale behind it, because a lot of people would prefer to learn how to play the game first on their own before jumping into a group and then making a fool of themselves, because it sort of can be a little bit stressful, right? So I understand that. What kind of paint do you use again? I tend to use Vallejo. I am using the Dungeons and Dragons, the Armor Painter paints, and the Dungeons and Dragons Knowles' Marvelous Pigments. I've been using them as well. So I use about 2 different paints, really. Army Painter paints rebranded for Dungeons and Dragons, and I also use the good old, I don't use a lot of Citadel paints because they're too expensive, and they're not really that great for their price you're paying. But Vallejo, my brother swears by them, and I think I agree with him. Not the swearing side of things, but I think that he's right, that it's a good paint. Okay, so let's see if I can, let's get the top lip, bottom lip. Let's try the bottom lip. See, this is the problem when you mix this stuff up, right? You think you're all good, and then it gets sticky, and then you got to put it into place. And that's going in there now. Right, okay, just make sure I'm in the shot and not out of the shot so you can actually see what I'm doing. Otherwise, not much point, eh? Okay, there we go. That's a better. I'll move forward a little bit, and now I just press that in there. I'm using a little bit of water to sort of help. No, she's not sticking. Maybe, I think I know what it is. It's probably the powder from the, it'll be the powder from the baking soda that's not allowing me to put it in because I haven't washed down the miniature, right? Which is probably what I should have done. That does give me a problem. All right, what can we do to solve that problem now? I don't want you guys to know what I'm doing right now, okay? I can trust me, I didn't drop my pants and urinate all over it, but I've just dunked it into some water, so now I've got to dry it. And hopefully that will have got most of the stuff off, which means I've got to dry it now. But I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, that green stuff doesn't mind a bit of moisture, so that should still stick. La da 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 dee 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 dee. This is the problem when you do things live stream, right? And you don't break it up into segments. There's a whole lot of steps that you have to do that you normally do off screen that nobody actually ever sees. But yes, I really like the idea that they are going to have 3 starter sets for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. I think that's a good thing. And they're all sort of tailored for different sort of ways of playing and ideas. And I think for a lot of people, if all they ever have is a go-to, because I've had people say, look, is there something that I can start off with that isn't the Lost Mine of Phandelver? Now, to be granted, Lost Mine of Phandelver is one of the most popular Dungeons & Dragons adventures ever. I think they said that it has been one of the most popular adventures for Dungeons & Dragons 5e, which doesn't surprise me because it's in the starter set. But I suspect it's also going to wind up being the best seller overall right throughout the Dungeons & Dragons history, just because of the sheer number of people who seem to be looking for that sort of information. How's it going, Chris? Love the videos. Hey, what do you like about the videos? Tell me what you like about the videos. I love that you love the videos, but it's always good for me to know what it is about the videos that you guys like, because then it gives me a better understanding of what I need to duplicate, or if it's something I can duplicate, or if it's something I can't duplicate, something I have done right, rather than something that people didn't really enjoy. Not that to be fair though, I don't honestly always do videos just for everybody else's enjoyment. Sometimes I do videos just because I feel like doing them. And you'll probably find those pop out from time to time. They're usually full of a lot of sarcasm. I know that's not popular. And it's a poor sense of humour, right? Okay, so I think I just about got it relatively dry now. And let's try and get this green stuff in there. Stuff is going to harden up really fast too. I still mixed way too much. I can see it right now. Okay, so let's press that into there. Oh, this brings me back to the good old days when I was doing war miniatures and how nothing would stay where it needed to stay. I would want it to stay there and it would not stay there. And then you just like fight with the green stuff. Stay, you little sods, and you would not stay there. And you'd have to do other things to make it work. What's that, Chris? I like how you go in depth about classes. I enjoy learning about them all. Also, I love the sarcasm. So you're more, Chris, you like the player guides and videos on the different classes. I suppose I need to do more of them. I guess I'm always a little bit worried about doing those ones because people like yourself usually respond well to them. And then I get occasionally a few people who just get annoyed with me, and I try not to let that affect me too much, but it does sometimes. And so I like, well, you know, if people are going to give me a hard time, then why am I bothering doing it in the first place? And they may be the trolls, but yeah, there are just times where I feel that they're not necessarily the most fun for me to do. And of course, I built my channel on making those types of videos. It was mostly actually most of my videos were really around the core rules rather than the class guide stuff. But I will do some more class guide stuff, and you will see more of it. I'm still working my way through the bard. I haven't really sort of finished the bard off. And I think after that I'm supposed to be doing the druid. Okay. So now I know what you like about my videos, Chris. Well, that's good. Helpful to know. Okay, so little slithers and sausages of green stuff here and there, and now I'm going to try and see this is where what I should have done is I should have glued the mouth on first, not put the stalks on, so I could actually get to stuff. Because look what I'm having to do. I'm all over the place. Nothing's sticking. I'm sticking to the green stuff, and I can't get past the eye stalk. And Xanathar is being difficult. It's not supposed to be difficult. It's supposed to be easy, right? Darn it. Ugh. Okay, so that is just coming out now. I had it in there, and she's disappearing on me. What's that, Brandon? I did not see any negative feedback on your worst party video. That was so good. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I enjoyed doing it too, I have to say. And there's a couple of other videos like that, but they're like part way done. This is the problem: is I start something, and then I run out of ideas, and then I have to leave it, and I have to come back to it later. And I've been working really, really hard on the best Dungeons and Dragons party, and I've been working on the worst Dungeons and Dragons character classes. And I think that one is going to be a real doozy, that one. That is going to be hilarious. I've got a friend who loves to memorize stuff, and he gave me some very good advice and pointed me in the right direction. And I don't know whether you realize it or not, but my home group, we sat down, and we were, well, as we were setting up, I was saying, okay, if you were going to take the piss out of something, what would it be, and what would you say? And oh my gosh, they came up with some really, really cool stuff. So we'll get to that at some point. What's that, Brandon? Any TBA on sense of humor? Oh, right. Okay. Is healthy. Yes, exactly. Righto. Now, this green stuff is still not rock hard, which is amazing. So I would have thought it would be done by now, but it's apparently not. I think really the worst part is one of the eye stalks and around the mouth. That seems to be the area that is causing the most trouble. Yeah, yep, definitely. Now, oh, he's got a snotty one in there. Oop, let's see if we can get it patted down. He's not gonna let it pat down. What's that, Joe? I like that you are an average Joe, just like us, or should I say average bloke. Laugh out loud. Enjoy your campaign and character advice the most. Very helpful. Okay, all right. Well, that's good. Well, I can assure you, I am not a professional dungeon master. I am not the best dungeon master. I am just a person. And right now, I was talking to somebody the other day, and I was like, I haven't actually dungeon mastered for almost a year now. It might actually be a year now. And I've just been being a player, because I really ever got a chance to do that. And I'm currently preparing an adventure that I want to run for a new player, one in particular, which is actually my Dungeon Master's daughter, because starting off playing the game at level 10 would not be fun. So got to do something else, right? And I really feel like that hunt for the Thessal Hydra is like a good choice as a start off, particularly because it doesn't require you to play for like weeks and weeks or hours and hours to finish it. Okay, so there's a snotty bit there. Let's do that again. Where's that eye stalk that I found the other time that had a big gap in it? There it is, right there. So let's attack it with the green stuff, with my finger. Is my finger going to let it lock down? Oh, no. Try again. No. Yes. Something like that. I know it's not in the right place. I totally get it. But we're going to force it into there. It doesn't have a choice. If it doesn't go, it's not staying. Go where I want you to go. I command you. You shall do as you are told. It's my way or the highway. And oh yeah. So yes, as you were saying, Joe, you were saying I'm like an average person. That's what I really wanted to do. Is I wanted to do a series on being a lazy dungeon master. Now, for somebody who actually has a life outside of Dungeons and Dragons and can't spend, hours and hours preparing for their game because that they don't have a job or something like that, or they're at school and they've got plenty of spare time or something like. I don't know what it is. There seem to be a lot of people who assume that you'd always have to spend a lot of time prepping to be a dungeon master, and also giving people such a hard time when, because they don't do things a particular way. This is the best way to do it. Oh, that would be nice, but I don't need to do it that way because it's not my job. It's just my hobby. Just my hobby. Remember that. Just a hobby, not a job. Bums. Hang on. Sorry. Language. Let's see if I can get that little bit to stick in there. No, it's not. I'm going to try again and then I get back to the chat because I know I can see there's some people who are asking me questions. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to try and use the liquid green stuff for some of these. Oh, it's because this is driving me nuts. This is probably why they created liquid green stuff in the first place, because you couldn't get the green stuff to stay where you wanted to when it was a small crack. Therefore, you wound up mucking around trying to make it work, and then for liquid seemed like a sensible thing to do, but it does shrink. That came out now. I had it in the place, and now it's come away. What's that, Brandon? Do you think that Matt Mercer effect had any negative effect on the game, in the aspect that players expect that kind of gameplay at their table? Oh my gosh, that's a big question. I believe Cody at Taking 20 made a video on that topic, and I've had less and less patience for Cody's videos recently, just because the cringe factor and the commercial factor has been just a bit too much for me to handle. But he's got to do it because he's right. It's his job now. He doesn't have any other income. But I think he's right that the Matt Mercer effect, and to be fair, it's not Matt Mercer's fault. It's people's interpretation of what Matt Mercer is doing. That the way to do it is the Matt Mercer way, and because what he's got and his group has got, people want to duplicate that. But the reality is that even if players want that sort of dungeon master, they're not Mercer or Alison. They're not Telson. They're not Travis. They're not Laura. Those people actually bring a lot to the group. If you didn't have them there, it would not be the same. It would be very, very different. So I think that Matthew Mercer and the Critical Role team, I can't count the number of people who have come up to me and said, look, I want to get into Dungeons and Dragons, and the reason I got into Dungeons and Dragons, I tell you later on, is because of Critical Role. So Critical Role has been instrumental in making the whole hobby grow the way that it has grown. They have had such a massive effect. The problem is, even though that they have had such a wonderful effect on the community, it's also had a side effect of creating some players with unusually high expectations, and expectations that playing Dungeons and Dragons is like a live stream of Matthew's game, which it's not. It doesn't look like that. In fact, that's why, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry is trying to duplicate what Critical Role does, right? And none of them have been able to be successful at it. Acquisitions Incorporated, really the only group who have been able to do that sort of thing, and they were doing it really before Critical Role, and they were already relatively successful, but they have become more successful now that people have discovered that they do actually exist, and that they have a whole backlog of material that they can go and watch if they want to, and that they are connected to some of the bigger cons and events that are taking place around the world. So I think that the Matt Mercer effect is not Matt Mercer's fault. I don't think that Matt Mercer would really appreciate people expecting everybody to play the way his group does, because even if you did have a dungeon master who could dungeon master like Matthew Mercer, you're not going to be playing like one of Matthew's players. There's no way you're going to be at the kind of caliber that those people are, and the kind of relationship, because I think a lot of people assume that Dungeons and Dragons is just playing a game, but it's actually about building relationships, and they have a very strong relationship, that group, which is why they're still together and they haven't disintegrated. One of the members left, and that had turned sour, but the rest of them are strong and they are well and truly stuck together. So it's going to work, and probably for a good long time, which is good. I think that's a wonderful thing. So that hopefully covers the question. Now, as for its effect here in New Zealand, the number of New Zealanders who have mentioned Critical Role as being a reason for playing the game, huge. The number of times I have heard the words, "I'm looking for a dungeon master like Matthew Mercer," that has come out of people's mouths. I've heard that happen, and I've tried to explain to them that they're being a little bit too precious about the whole thing, that there are other people who can probably give them an experience which may not be like what Matthew Mercer does, but will be just as satisfying if they give it a chance. But no, that's their loss if that's what they want, and they can't find it because there's only one Matthew Mercer. That's it. You're not going to find another one. He's the guy, and I would put Matthew Mercer and Chris Perkins in the same sort of category. In terms of popularity, I think Jeremy Crawford is starting to show that he is very capable, because he's taken over from Chris on Acquisitions Incorporated. I am a real fan of Deborah. Is it Deborah Ann Woll from Daredevil, the Daredevil TV series on Netflix. I think she is a wonderful DM, but she doesn't get the viewers that Matthew Mercer does. And that's a real shame, because her style of gameplay and the way that she does things is actually brilliant. And I actually watch her games and realize that, to a large extent, even though people don't realize it, I think Deborah is actually probably, in some respects, in terms of letting players do things that are fun and enjoyable, I think she's actually right there up at the top, probably even higher than Matthew Mercer. In terms of making cool voices, Matthew's the guy, and he's got the audience. And it's a shame that I watched Relics and Rarities. I don't know that they're going to renew it. I don't think it got enough views. I don't think enough people knew about it to draw the audience, and because most of the audience is already watching Critical Role for 4 hours every week, there isn't any time left for them to go and watch anything else. So that's sort of part of the problem, I think. But let's remember that they are going to be responsible for changing the very landscape of Dungeons and Dragons in a way that we have not seen before. We're going to see a Dungeons and Dragons animated series that'll probably wind up being vastly better than the original one that came out years ago. So, and that's a good thing, right? Good things to happen. What's that, Joe? What do you think about playing in Avernus? I'm not really too happy about the idea of playing in Avernus. Sounds interesting. Yes, it does sound interesting. My only feeling is I don't think it's going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea. Do you know what I mean? And the problem with that particular setting and location is I tend to use hell as a place to go to when the characters get wiped out. And now it's going to be a place where they literally can just go and journey and have a visit, which I don't really want them to be able to do or think that they can do. Of course, in my games that'll be how it plays out. But now you change the landscape by making it a place you can go and adventure and run an adventure in. So that is an aspect to it that I am a little worried about. Is it unfounded? Don't know. Maybe it's just me being paranoid. It could be. It's always possible. Okay, so I made up way too much green stuff, and I have filled the gaps that I needed to. I am going to use the liquid green stuff, and I will soon find out whether it's a complete waste of my time or not. Ouch! That hurt. I just jabbed the brush. I've got a really old brush here. I'm going to give it a spin, see how it works. What's that, Brandon? Not to mention a 6th ed edition. Well, yes. I know a lot of people don't believe that it's on its way. I don't know that it's necessarily that close yet, but I feel like it is certainly getting closer every day. Alright, so that brush was going to be my go-to, but it's not going to work now. Hang on. I need an old brush. Something that doesn't matter. And what have we got here? Old and small, old and small, old and small. That looks like it might be the one. And hopefully it's stiff enough. Let's give this stuff a shake. I'll roll this into a ball, because I tend to use balls a lot. No, I wasn't. Well, maybe. I'm being naughty. Sorry about that. Yeah, Avernus is going to be a different sort of adventure, I think, compared to what everybody else is. And I don't think it's going to necessarily have the kind of universal appeal that some of the other adventures could have. If you wanted to have Dungeons and Dragons and Mad Max combined, like Fury Road and Mad Max 1 and 2 and 3, you could just do it on a desert world, really, like the Dark Sun or whatever else you want to make up. The Wastelands, the Burnt Offering. I mean, whatever you can think of. I think the Mercer effect makes me want to be better, learning techniques and honing my skills. But yes, players should lower their expectations. Yeah, I feel that is the... I actually wanted to do a video on that topic a long time ago, but yeah. I don't know that it'll happen. I think I'll do something else. I've written down... I've actually got it in my book. Somewhere in here, in my book, I've written down that topic. What was the topic that I created? I think the topic that I'd given myself, and I hadn't written any notes, was something like this. My players expect me to DM like Matthew Mercer. And I never got any further than that. And I think the reason for wanting to make that video was a product of listening to a couple of players say things that really concerned me. And I felt like was kind of unreasonable. So therefore, this stuff is interesting. We're going to paint it on. Going to give it a go. I bought it. Might as well use it, right? But I have been told that it tends to shrink. And if it's anything like bog, You usually have to do at least 3 applications of something like that before it's all good. And 3 applications is a lot of fiddling and fluffing around, particularly if you just want to get the job done. And definitely want to just get the job done. Baldur's Gate does sound good, Joe. I absolutely agree. Joe, 6th ed edition scares me. I've recently jumped completely into 5th ed edition, have almost everything, and I hate for it to switch so soon. Joe, I want you to just calm down about the Dungeons & Dragons 6e. Honestly, I think when I did the video on that topic, I did explain that I felt like Dungeons & Dragons 6th ed edition would not probably come out until the release of the Dungeons & Dragons movie. So we haven't had an announcement on the new Dungeons & Dragons movie, so you won't see a new version of the game. Now, if you do see a new version of the game, I have no doubt that it will be able to be ignored completely, and you'll be able to use new products that they release for Dungeons & Dragons 6th ed edition with the Dungeons & Dragons 5th ed edition rules. And I don't expect the rules to actually be that much different. So don't panic. It's not worth panicking about. Not at this present time. I don't know if people have necessarily noticed, but even Dungeons & Dragons 5e is backward compatible to a large extent with the older versions of Dungeons & Dragons. You could take that rule set and just jump in and use content from right back to the very first incantation of the game, such as 1st ed edition. So yeah, not something to worry yourself about. So yeah, don't freak out just yet. So I'm just painting. I'm trying to just feather this as best I can. I've been told that a good way of dealing with this is to use water, but since those people who did it had shitey results, I'm not doing that. And instead I'm just going to just layer it up and keep working my way around until I'm relatively happy with the product. And that should hopefully be it. What's that, Brandon? I feel you, Joe. I am just saying I think there will be a 6th ed edition someday. Yes, there will be someday. There always will be. Someday they will shift. But it's not going to happen for a little while yet. Remember, if you're gonna shift you remember the thing is that Dungeons & Dragons 5th ed edition is still selling very, very quickly. In my country, it is selling very quickly. I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but they have only just started releasing Dungeons & Dragons 5th ed edition in other languages. They've still got a whole bunch of other languages to deal with. So, yeah, not to worry just yet. And even if it does change over, you'll be able to use your older rule set and just start playing with whatever stuff they release, because I think that's exactly their intention, to keep doing that sort of thing. Well, the green stuff is going on. It certainly looks green. Of course it's going to look green, Fred. What the heck are you talking about? Oh. What's that, Joe? I remember you saying that, Fred. Just praying you're right. Yeah. You can pray I'm right if you like. Remember, Joe, I was part of the alpha play test process for Dungeons & Dragons Next, or Dungeons & Dragons 5e, and I did have some involvement in the monster manual, so I think you will find that my information is pretty much correct. That's not to say that I am currently involved in playtesting a new version of Dungeons & Dragons, for those of you who think that might be what's going on. But from what I have seen, Wizards of the Coast has been very responsive to people in terms of trying to make sure they get what they want. And that's a good thing and a bad thing. Okay. This... I'm actually kind of having fun putting this stuff on. I don't know why, but apparently I am. What's that, Joe? 5th Ed edition is very good, I think. Yes, there could be tweaks, but that's what house rules are for. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I would love to just strip out of Dungeons & Dragons 5th Ed edition. Bonus actions cause me no end of strife explaining to people what the heck's going on. The complexity of characters is great for some people who love complexity, and for others it's just a barrier. Things like the conditions and saving throws need to be simplified a little bit just to make life a little bit easier. And I know it is simpler than what we've had in the past, but it is not simple enough. And what I'm looking for is a game that can be taught to children. And my reason for that is because there are a whole lot of people who play Dungeons & Dragons who then get excluded when they have kids because they just can't play it anymore because they're too busy doing other things, and they've got to wait for those kids to grow up and get much older. You know, if you've got to wait until your kids reach 12 years of age before you can go and play your favourite game, because the chances are you're not going to be able to get a babysitter to look after them. That's why people wind up out of the game for so long. And that's not a good thing. It's easy to strap more complexity onto a game, but it's hard to take it away. So if they start with a very, very simple system and go from there, life will be easy and simple and good. And that is what we want. Okay, hang on. Let's just clean this brush because it's starting to look like something I don't want to... No, I'm not going to describe it. Not describing. Let's leave that alone. I just get myself into trouble anyway. DG Enemy, how's it going? Hi Fred, I think it's good on you to mention it's not just Matthew Mercer, it's his very good friends playing with him that are all trained improvised actors. Yes, it is. That's right, it's exactly it. It's not just Matthew Mercer. He's tried to explain this to people more than a few times. Look, that it's not just all me. And a lot of people just don't get it. Because, you know, it's like anything. When you get a rock band, that rock band, who is assumed to be the key head for a rock band? It's not the drummer, it's always the singer. Even if the singer didn't even write the music. They're just singing the music. You know, the person who actually holds the band together might not necessarily be the person who is the singer, who's leading it all. It could be somebody else completely. It could be the drummer, could be the guitarist, yeah, so could be the bass. So it's one of those things that everybody assumes that one person is responsible for everything. And that's not to take away from what Matthew Mercer does, because Matthew Mercer is an exceptional dungeon master. He's not just a good dungeon master, he's an exceptional dungeon master. But so is, as far as I'm concerned, Deborah Ann Wallace, and so is Chris Perkins, and so is Jeremy Crawford. Very, very impressive. And there are probably more that I have not mentioned that I should mention. I've seen Mike Merle's Dungeon Master, and he's actually very, very good too. I have a friend here in New Zealand who I love watching Dungeon Master, and his name is, I don't know if he's going to like me saying his name. I'm going to say it anyway. James Dunning, I believe it's James Dunning. And he's got a game company now with his wife, and he is an exceptional dungeon master. His ability to actually keep people's interest and tell a story is amazing, and he's just a local in New Zealand. So, and no doubt you have people where you are who are much like that, who have, you know, they might not necessarily do everything the way Matthew Mercer does, but they do something that makes them special. Okay, all right. This is actually working out all right. I honestly hope that it doesn't shrink too much, because I don't want to have to repaint it every single time. That's just going to be painful. Okay, let's couple more eye stalks, and we'll be done. No, I think that will be gone. Gone will be done. Something like that. And there we go. What am I up to here? DG enemy. Honestly, it's them really that are the show, and Matt does a very good job returning the ball back to them. It's the banter I find entertaining. Yes, I think that is exactly right. A lot of let's get real. Sometimes their off-topic banter and silliness is what makes the whole show more entertaining than them playing in character. How many times? How has Sam Riegel managed to get away with his intros and his advertising? Just because he just goofs off, and people love it. They keep going back. They don't. You tell me anybody who watches Critical Role and fast forwards through the 4 or 5 minutes of advertising that Sam Riegel does at the very beginning of the show. Because I bet you they do not. That's the one part they will not be fast forwarding through. They might fast forward through the middle bit where all the artwork is displayed, but it's not through Sam Riegel stuff. They're going to hang around, even if he is talking about D&D Beyond for the umpteenth time. They don't care. They just want to see what crazy stuff he's going to do. In fact, I think everybody is. All right. One more eye stalk, and I feel like that's pretty much sorted it out. Annual videos are excellent because they are well thought out, clear, and sincere. I am trying to be sincere. I really am. I'm a little bit worried about the being sincere thing because it's like sticking yourself out there sometimes. And I know a few people who will not appreciate it, but we'll see how we go. Let's try to stick with sincere. And there we go. That needs a lot more. And painting this stuff on is just not going to solve that problem. That little shape there just doesn't look right. Okay, give me a second. What's that? DG enemy. Speaking of artwork, Fred, any of the classic TSR artists you like? Yes, I do. I actually have some of his books right behind me. They were gifts from my family on my birthday. And the problem with artwork is I always liked Boris quite a lot, and Julie Bell. But if I had a choice on artwork that sort of stands out for me, it's got to be... Is it Elwood? Hang on, let's see if I can find the book. Hang on, I'm not gone. There we go. Yeah. Here we go. So, this book is full of artwork, fantasy artwork. This is one of my favourites. I don't know if you can necessarily see what the heck I've put in front of the screen because I'm supposed to be doing miniatures and not showing off books, okay? So this is a piece of artwork which I'm sure more than a few of you are familiar with, okay? And this is Larry Elmore. Elmore does great stuff. I really enjoy his artwork. I think it's done from a point of view of somebody who really understands Dungeons and Dragons and fantasy, and that's why I've got one of his art books in my shelves. Okay, all right. So I'm just looking over the model, making sure that all of the areas that I needed to cover are covered. I feel like they are, and I could probably put more over there, but I'm not going to worry about it. I could fluff around with that section there, just here and here. These are the areas, probably the only areas that are concern me a little bit. This is the problem. As soon as I say that, I just can't help myself, and then I've got to fix it. Like I need to fix it. I don't actually have to fix it. I just want to fix it. Yeah, Larry Elmore. Let's give it a go. Do it again. I've been told that I'm supposed to wait for it to dry before putting some more on. Bugger that. Bugger that. I'm not doing that. I'm going to just do it now. And just paint it on. I'm not a patient man. Sometimes I'm just not that patient. Okay, let's see. It is. I feel like it's working. It's working. It's working. Oh, let's hope it is. And now, let's grab a bit more. What's that, DG? Enemy. If you are ever considering a vacation, you might want to consider Lexicon in the States. All the great artists are there. Elmore, Boris, Julie, all of them, and they are all great to chat with. Sounds very exciting. And if I ever get a chance to do that sort of thing, I will certainly consider it. I guess the problem for me is if I ever go anywhere overseas, I want to go somewhere warm, and so there's going to have to be a beach involved rather than a gaming convention. I know that sounds terrible, but that's the thing, is I just want to go somewhere where, you know, there's birds, there's trees, it's warm, there's a beach, there's the water. I like water. I like the ocean. You know, I like swimming. I like kayaking. Those are the sorts of things that appeal to me. Takes me back to my childhood, when I would just disappear for 6 hours, and my parents would ask me where the heck I'd been, and I'd say, "Oh, you probably don't want to know, but I've been everywhere." Okay. Alright, I've painted it on, and like always, right, I keep saying there's got to be a point where you decide you've done enough. What's that, Joe? Come visit me in southern Alabama. I'm 25 minutes from the Gulf of Mexico. Ooh, sounds good. I like the sound of that. Yeah, I'm not really in a financial position to do that, Joe, but if I ever do, I will certainly consider anywhere that has got warm weather. Love the idea completely. Okay, so this is my cleanup job, which I should have done ages ago. I realised that I've taken a rather long time to get my act together. So if you have any feedback for me, should I have done something differently? Did I miss a step? Did you find this useful to you? Maybe you're doing the same miniature and you wanted to know how to get it done. I've used green stuff and I've used liquid green stuff to fill all my gaps. Hopefully once it dries out it looks good. You will find out because I'll do another video, because I always do. So yeah, give me some feedback. If you're not part of the live chat, use the comments section. If you like this sort of content, that's awesome. I have hundreds of videos for players and dungeon masters, including videos on crafting and painting and stuff like that, which you're welcome to go and check out if you want to. Now, I don't do Patreon, although it's very tempting to do Patreon right now. I don't do it, but I do have affiliate links to the book depository and Amazon, and that helps support the channel, so I keep doing more videos if you want to help support me in some way, which is great. Now, share, like, and subscribe. Hit the bell button to be notified when I go live and when I publish new videos. And look after yourself. Until next time, keep rolling those 20s. Now, where's the dice? I always forget the dice. Give me the dice. There it is. I got the dice. Calm down. Found the dice. I'll see you later.